Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Check this out. Dear Belly, half a year ago, on July 27th, my husband Shimmy Braun stopped smoking his electric cigarette, Baruch Hashem. No one believed that it'll ever stop. It was like a tati pacifier non-stop, like in the picture. When I asked him how he's doing it, what gives him the strength to control himself from not smoking, his answer was Rebelli. Rebelli showed me what commitment means. So the Braun family wants to thank you for changing our lives to non-smoking environment. Mrs. Braun and family. Here he is. Tzaddikim, do me a favor. Dear Rebelli, here in Panama for 9 days so far, and didn't meet anyone from MDY till I met none other than the Mechaber Sefer Gaiva, Michael Cohen. We had a great shmooze, attaches a photo. Can't wait to get back to the shiur Yeshai Yisro. There's Koilo 163 Avrechim. The one and only Michael Cohen. Eli Palatif. Kitzer, he's happy that I mentioned the mikveh that we built in our house in Kensington, which I helped my brother-in-law, your cousin, build. If you can mention it for Refuah Shlema, he'd greatly appreciate Chaim Yeshua Heschel ben Russia for complete Refuah Shlema along with all Klal Yisroel. Good morning to all from New York. Wish I could be there on midwinter break. Sending out a big I love you to everyone. Your fantastic efforts are truly appreciated. It's incredible how our emotions can swing from a touching moment like a letter and a packed lunch that brings a tear to my eyes to the laughter brought on by the 3-second Daf commercial. MDY is just an emotional roller coaster, constantly keeping us engaged, entertained, with a tad of Daf thrown in. Not everybody got it. Should I read that again? MDY is just an emotional roller coaster, constantly keeping us engaged and entertained, with a tad of the Daf thrown in. Reminding everyone of Parshas Haman. Is that it was? It's a little bit late, and I extended my heartfelt wishes to Rebelli and the entire MDY team. May all be blessed with health, wealth, and success. Number one fan, David Address. Hi Rav Eli, my name is Daniel, and I'm 16 from Brooklyn. I just want to thank you for helping me with my mission to finish a Masechta. I decided at 16 years old, it was just one Masechta in the books. It's just not enough, especially when I finished it during COVID. Zoom, barely paid attention. He wants it this way. Okay, he made me move at that. Thank you for all that you do for Yidden all around the globe. Your share is amazing with all the cool clips, pictures that Yoshi makes. Doubles excitement, and it's impossible to spaz out. Coming from a 16-year-old, it's impossible to spaz out. Never heard the Lashon? Yeah, you're too old. Spaz. P.S. Please tell Rav Nachman Seltzer I'm a big fan of his books, especially the Ribnitzer and the living legend, Rav Grossman. Shkoyach, have a great day. Keep doing what you do. When are you coming to New York? I'd like to meet you. I threw that in for you. Emes, no, you wrote it. The Koil of the month, sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood for Refuah Shlema for Tinoik ben Malka. The Masechta, the entire Masechta, for the unity of Am Yisrael. Parnas HaChodesh is the last day. Rav Noam, Avi, Gary, and Yosef for your relentless commitment to MDY. Parnas HaChodesh, Linishma Zechrya ben Moshe, Linishma Zechrya bas Yosef. Parnas HaChodesh, Ahron Fraiman, it should be zechus to rebel to continue siyadta dishmaya and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Parnas HaChodesh, L'chol Lili Nishmas, Kol Chayli Tzahal. Now we have to add another 24, unfortunately. 24. Shenaflu al קידוש Hashem. Parnas HaChodesh, in the memory of Binyomin Airley from Anonymous in Manchester, who joined the shiur at the beginning of Sotah. And Parnas Chodesh, Shprintzy and Avrumie Gross, the yahrzeits, the yahrzeits of our fathers, Shlomo ben Yitchak, Aiyzik, zechus Binyomin Airley, ben Tzvi Hirsch, zechus Parnas Hayoim, Hannah bat David, first yahrzeit. Parnas Hayoim, the learning should be a zechus and shmira of our soldiers. Amen. And the art of the month, Anonymous, for the zechus, for an easy childbirth, for his daughter, and a healthy baby. Rabbi Isai, where today is Daf Pei Gimel, holding the last words in Daf Pei Beis Amud Beis. We were in the middle of this story with the two brothers, the sons of the kings, Hyrcanus and Aristobulus, who were fighting each other for the Melucha, covered and it destroyed Klal Yisroel. One brother, Hurricanus, was inside. He was the B'chari. He was supposed to get the Melucha. The other one, the Ravelos, was on the outside. And they needed karbanas. They needed the Talmud to keep on going, 2 a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. They would lower money down and bring the Talmud up. And there was a person there who knew how to communicate with Chachmas HaYavanis, the Greek Chachma. And he communicated with the outside people that as long as you send sheep, you're not going to be able to beat them because of the karbanas. So they got the hint, and they sent up a Davar Acher, a PIG, and the PIG dug its nails into the Daf Pei Gimel. Oi, oi. Now you're going to have to say, call it Gaf. Daf Gaf. It's a very good simon. It's really on Daf Pei Beis. Or it's a continuation. Continuation, yeah. Right. So it says, "Mom, it doesn't say davar acher." One of the kids came over to me. Why doesn't it say davar acher? Anyway, so that ba'isei shah, because of what happened, they said, "Orur ha'ish yigadol chazerim." It's usher to mugadol a chazer, and it's usher to teach your son the chachma, the wisdom of the Greeks, the Yavanis. Says the Gemara of Chachmas Yavanis mi'asira. We see a few situations where it seems like it's mutter to learn the chachma of the Yavanim. Vatanya Omar Rebbe, says the Heilige Rebbe, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Beretz Yisrael, Losho in Sursi Lama. Why do you need to speak and converse in Sursi? So what's Sursi? It says Taisva Sursi is Aramaic, but it's a weaker, it's not such a nice dialect. It comes from Syria, which is right next to Israel. So the people in Israel would talk in Sursi, in Aramaic, which was similar to the real Aramaic, but it's a very weak one. It's a poor man's lashon. In fact, there are those who say that the entire Yerushalmi was written in Sursi. That's why it's difficult to understand. It's difficult lashon. Or lashon HaKodesh or lashon Yavanis. You should either be speaking lashon HaKodesh or Greek. So it says mefurish that you should be speaking Greek. So what's the problem with learning Chachma Yavanis? Why would you even speak Aramaic in Bava? Or lashon HaKodesh or lashon Parsi? You should speak a sophisticated language. There's a Maisa Shahaya, a chassid walking in New York, stopped an Oriental-looking person and asked him, Chinese guy, Asian guy. He asked the Chinese guy, I'll say it straight out. He had a Chinese guy in Chinatown. He asked him, where do you go? How do you get to here and here? So the guy looks at him and says, Macht links and nach left, and the guy says, rechts mit links, and the guy glach nach dem. He says, what are you talking about? What just happened? He says, listen, when I came to America, I really wanted to learn English. I had a drive to learn English. So I got a job. By a supermarket that was owned by a Satmar Chussid. So he taught me English. It took him a few years to chap. It wasn't English. It was Yiddish. He's a pro in Yiddish. Panovich English. No, if American Yiddish is half English. It's Pseudo. You do okay. So you learn Lashon Parsi. Another thing I want to tell you that there's a whole community right where the Jews live in Chicago of people that speak Aramaic. So I was schmoozing with them once, and a few of them worked in the bakery. So he said, we speak the same language. The Gemara that you learn is Aramaic. So we're schmoozing. I said, yeah. What does asa shunra v'ochla lelachma mean? Nothing. So I said, how do you say cat? And she thought it's a different word, completely. Not one word that I knew or anything that she said is something that I was able to understand. It's a completely different dialect. Maybe 1 or 2 words were the same. So don't think that you could converse with somebody in Aramaic. It's a lost language, I think. Zog Gemara. The Chachmas, so we have a problem. It says that you either speak in Lashon Kodesh or Yavanis. So what are you telling me you can't learn this Chachmas Yavanis? Says the Gemara, Amri. Again, Amri. Loshin Yevani L'chod, Chochmas Yevanis L'chod. Yes, you could converse in Greek. Just don't learn the Chochma, don't learn the wisdom. Whatever that Chacham did over there, that Zaken, he stood on the wall and he did something that nobody saw him doing. He didn't scream out in Greek. He did something with his hands, with his eyes. He did a Chachma. That you shouldn't learn. That's the Gemara, okay. The Chachmas Yevanis Me'asira. Is that also Amar Yudam Shmuel Meshumram Shimon Gamliel? He said in the name of Rashbag, Eini Oilal Nashim Mikol B'nai Siri. My eyes cry for all the girls in my city. In other words, Elef Yiladim Hoyu B'Veisava. We had 1,000 children. 500 went to yeshiva and learned Torah. 500 lamdu Chochmas Yevanis. It wasn't a problem. We taught them how to the Chachma Yevanis. We wanted them to learn. The Reb Gamliel, here, let me just show you this chart again. We have Reb Shimon Gamliel by the red. He's saying that my father, Bebeis Abba, by Reb Gamliel, look at the yichus here, Reb Gamliel's house. They had 1,000 kids. Half of them learned Torah, half of them learned Chachma Yevanis. L'chatchila. The Marsha saes it's l'chatchila. You see, it was they wanted.
The Nazi family, they needed to do
Only 2 of us out of 1,000 remain, me and my cousin who lives in Asia. But you see that the kids learned Chachmas Yevanis. Amri Shana Beis Gamliel, Shayu Krevim Malchos, like Reb Nachman said, they were the Beis Nasi. They needed to converse with them, they needed to be close to them to do good for the Jews. Says Gemara, if you give yourself a haircut like this, koimi, something like this. Basically, you shave everything till the ears and everything behind. You leave like a ponytail. This is Isser to dress like the guy, to try to assimilate, even the way we look. Which is, throughout all generations, Klal Yisroel always wanted to look like the guy, to be like them, to just at home be a yid, outside, different Shulchan Aruch, different thing, reform, Shalom Aleichem, review that. This is your seat right over here.
Like shaving.
Huh?
Like shaving.
Who said? Adarava, the Yidden used to, the goyim, like shaving, he says. Okay, shtach. Yeah. Why? It was mutter. Sorry. Avtulmos baruvein, they allowed Avtulmos to take this haircut. So Tosis brings the Gemara that Avtulmos, he faked it. He pretended that he was a Roman. With this haircut, he was able to blend in. The Romans, they made 3 decrees in Klal Yisroel: no Shabbos, no Mila, no Taras HaMishpacha. And he came in there and he said, listen, it doesn't make sense. As a Roman, he said, if you want to beat Klal Yisroel, you're going to say no Shabbos. Why no Shabbos? Why not take do you want them to be rich? Do you want them to be poor? You want them, one less day of work is gewaldig for us, to be poor. Less koyach in the body, there won't be Mila. Less children. Taras HaMishpacha is going to cause less children. They accepted this thing. They knocked off for a while, they knocked it off. But anyways, he was able to blend in because of his haircut. Obviously, if they told him to do it, if Chacham told him to do it. So you bring up a good point, because we have to, unfortunately, in Klal Yisroel, even in the Frum Olam, people might not be aware. We got to mention again, even though I mentioned it, and the people are somewhat aware. But to shave over here with a regular haircut machine, 0 is Issa Deraisa. It doesn't matter how much hair you have on top, even if you do the whole head shave, but if there's not enough, if it's not a 2 or whatever that number is, Issa Deraisa. According to almost, I would say 90% of the Tanaim. Maybe there's one Tana that says Issa Derabanan, but it's definitely Isser. So you're asking, I don't know how close it was. Maybe. I don't know. Issa Deraisa to save Klal Yisroel from those 3 things. I don't know. Huh? Oh, in the art scroll in Hebrew it says that was Issa Derabanan. Issa Derabanan. What? Why? But what about the actual haircut itself? Right, it seems from the Gemara that the actual haircut is a isser of blending into the guy, not the balsakif part. Right, but he's asking about the actual haircut, shaving by the ears.
The haircut wasn't an issue.
The haircut wasn't an issue for whatever reason. Whatever reason, the haircut itself wasn't an issue. All right, we learned in the Mishnah, you can't bring up a dog, and it's a problem. In the Ir had dogs. Not going to call it Ir had dogs, but the city has the most dogs per capita in the Frum community is Ramat Bet Shemesh. I didn't do any official statistics, but it seems obvious. There's a lot of dogs. Go here to the corner park. You'll see many people with many dogs. So in this room, there's probably 10 people that have a dog. So what's the heter exactly? So we have to go through the sugya, huh?
It's not a fun thing to have a dog. Only if you need for shmira.
Says who? So we're gonna see in the sugya. The problem that the Mishnah said, and that's what we're gonna see. The big issue is if it's a large dog, a scary dog that could scare a woman and she could lose her pregnancy because of being scared. So if you don't have that issue, it doesn't seem like an issue here in our sugya. You might say otherwise. There was a guy that called up his marriage counselor. He had a big dilemma. He says, I don't know what to do. So my wife is knocking on the front door, and my dog is barking by the back door. Which one do I let him first? Well, I don't know what to do. So the marriage counselor said, I don't know. I really don't know. It's a tough one. But I will tell you this. As soon as you let in the dog, he'll stop barking. So I told my wife the joke last night. And immediately afterwards, I'm not going to say what, but I had to call my marriage counselor. He said, it's a tough one. I can't answer you, but I'll tell you. So,
He doesn't stand at 2 floors.
Torah Rabbana. You're not allowed to bring up a dog, 4-legged dog, unless it's tied to a chain. If you live next to Gaza, you live mamish next to the enemy, next to the guy. So you bring up a dog. So you must tie and chain him up during the day. At night, you can let him loose. It's not going to scare any women. There's no women around. Tanya Rebbe Eliezer, I got the loimer. I'm a god the klavim. Can gad the chazirim. Rebbe Eliezer, the galad dar, but later on in his life he was put in chayrim because he didn't agree to everybody. He says that if you bring up a dog, it's like bringing up a chazer. L'mayin afkimina, what's the difference? Like a chazer, like an elephant. What's the difference? L'meikem alei ba'or, because we just read orish yigal chazirim. As soon as that story with the wall around Yerushalayim, they said whoever brings up a chazer is cursed. L'meikem alei ba'or. So a person who brings up a dog, he has that curse. As I'm reading, I'm thinking like people are very nervous. Like, oh, the old Moroccan lady, she gave a curse, or like the Baba gave a curse. Over here, the Gemara is giving a curse. The Gemara curses a person that brings up a dog. Now, it could be also bringing up, might be to be megadol, to breed them. But okay, klavim, breeding. You're right. Omer Rav Yosef Bar Binyomin, Omer Rav Nachman, Bavel kira smuch l'sfardami. Says Rav Nachman that Bavel is like Bavel. Klal Yisroel went to Iraq, and it's like living right next to the guy. It's dangerous. You need a dog. Tirgama Narda. So here's the map of Bavel. You see, Narda is somewhere towards the top, but not really on the border like that. Yet the Gemara understands that it's like it's a border town, bordering a lot of goyim that are dangerous, and the Jew needs a dog for protection. There's a Gemara in Eruvin, Daf Pei, that says that Shmuel had a dog. He's megadol a dog. And it comes out very nice over here. Because Shmuel, if you look over here, Shmuel was the Rosh Hashiva of Narda. So he had it right. In our dog, you allowed to be megadol klavim. Not only that, we learned in brachas, right? David HaMelech is megadol. He had dogs. Because when he was nifter, Shlomo wanted to know what to do. The dogs want to eat the body. How do you do this? Move the body, right? The whole, on Shabbos. Because muktzah, you take the bread. So he had dogs. So it's not so pashut. The one thing's for sure, that a German shepherd, a scary German shepherd, there's one in this neighborhood that whenever it sees a person, it jumps on a person. They have to walk it down the street with a muzzle. You have to ask a shayla, like, how can you bring up a dog like that? That's a dog that people literally, here, we have stam to remind the oil, this is from Kiddushin, right? This is what it looks like when a German shepherd walks down the street. This volume here, actually. Oh. Skachli Bekikir Zoo, Lekelev, just. Oh, yeah. Talking about German shepherds in the war is unbelievable what those German shepherds do. So for specific things, if you're in the army, Givalda.
I met a guy who raises them for settlements, for security. That's a different thing.
Yeah, I met a guy here. I know a guy here, David or whatever. He's a firm guy that lives in the old Bet Shemesh. He sells these dogs for $60,000 to $100,000. He trains them to smell money, to smell bugs in date trees, palm trees. They have unbelievable abilities, but to walk around in the neighborhood here, when you see everywhere you walk and the kids are jumping to the other side, they almost get run over from a car, from pachad, and there's that. Versus a small little, what do they call those little ones? The rats? Little rats. They're like, yeah. Said yesterday, it's not funny. It's a metzias. A guy knocks on somebody's door, and there's a massive sign: "Beware of dog." Wherever he looks, beware of dog. Beware of dog. So he's like a little scared to come in. I guess, don't worry. He comes in, and he says, the little, what is it called, Donnie? What do we have? Maltese, a little Maltese. This sign. He says, "We mishug. You put up 3 signs for beware of dog." He says, "Not for you, for the dog, you shayta." Like this small, he's going to crush the dog. Okay, so there's an afkamina between a dog and a dog. There's a kelev rad. He can barely bark. A woman's gonna be mapped because of that. I'm not a Rav, I don't know. Says the Gemara. Oh, says the Gemara. Dorish Rav Distoi, Dimin Beiri. I say Beiri because there's a guy that learns here in the morning, a balabas that comes here, and he asked me to say that it says over here Beiri, and a second later it says that on Tzilchus Torah, Klal Yisroel says this pasuk aloud. So he made a whole shtickle Torah. So I'm saying it over because he comes and he learns in the morning. How do you know? But my Gemara it says Beiri. Yeah. It says Beiri.
Your Gemara a lot of times is wrong.
My Gemara and your Gemara is the same company, my friend. We're both Oiz Hadar. Maybe it's not. Biri. Okay, Biri. I don't care. Biri. He's from Biri. It says like this. A revava is 10,000. Rivavois is 20,000. Alfei, 1 elef is 1,000. Alfei is 2,000. So 22,000 people in Klal Yisroel. You need 22,000 people in order for the Shechina to rest on Klal Yisroel. So now says the Gemara, imagine, what if you only had 21,999, you didn't have 22,000 minus 1, she was about to give birth. I saw one of the Ahron said it means literally the Shechina shiur with a pregnant woman. Okay, it doesn't seem like it. Those argue on him beforish. But if you had 22,000, you would have the Shechina. And because of this guy and his dog, you cause the Shechina to be mistalik. Which reminds me, I don't know how accurate this is. Somebody said it makes a lot of sense. That ever since what happened and all these chaylim that are dying, so they had a few hundred women that came forward and said, typically they would abort or whatever. Now, but l'schus the chaylim, whatever. So maybe, okay. So to bring the Shechina, says Gemara, it's a story. There was a woman, a woman borrowed the oven by the neighbor. Again, this is one of these things that we're so used to. We have a box that you put in your clothing and it comes out clean. We also have a box that you put in a bread and out comes the bread. in those days, not everybody had these boxes in their kitchen. Almost no one had one of these. It was more of a communal thing. You had one for a bunch of houses. So over here, and like I saw this by my brother-in-law's yeshiva in Chotzer Strauss. His yeshiva in Chotzer Strauss. They have an oven smack in the middle where all these Mekubalim used to live. They used to share one oven just recent. So this woman goes to her neighbor to bake bread. She didn't realize there's a vicious dog in there. The dog barked. So the guy comes running. Like this, don't worry about it. Don't be scared. Oh, we have a gewaldige picture. His canines. I removed his canines. He's not dangerous anymore. Omrlei, you came 5 seconds too late. Take your favor. Yishkoyach, thank you. Vishadi achizir, throw it on the thorns. Kfarnod Vlad, I felt that I lost this pregnancy. It's already over. So you see that one bark, one scare could cause a woman to lose her Vlad, and that's the problem. So, Oh, Ben Schwartz, that. I don't know if Ben Schwartz would appreciate it, but okay, here. You could, with your magic, you'll throw him in there somehow. So the bottom line is, what should have the guy done? The guy should have let her know, but he could have tied the dog. If you tie a dog, then the woman doesn't have a pachat. She sees he can't do anything. The pachat is when he's roaming loose and he barks. We learned in the Mishnah that you have to put your nets for the pigeons at least 30 ris away from where people live. 30 ris is 8,000 amma, 16,000 feet. What's that, like 3 miles or something? I didn't do the math, but something like that. A little less than 3 miles. Do pigeons fly that far? We don't want the pigeons to cause damage to the local crops, so you have to put your shoivach. Here's a picture of a local shoivach mamish very close to Bet Shemesh. Is this midras? It's called it's a cave. You go in there, and they once upon a time, hundreds of years ago, whenever it was, they carved out into the wall of the cave these little shells, for the pigeons to roost there, or whatever the word is. This has to be 50 amma away from the city. Practically 100 feet away from the city. So you see that it's not a problem. 50 feet is enough. Why 16,000 feet? As we know, homing pigeons, I just looked it up yesterday, I'm not a big mumkin homing pigeon, but they can fly, I don't know what it is, 1,800 kilometers. 1,800 kilometers, they can find their way 1,800 kilometers away. Fly approximately 70 miles an hour when they fly, and they fly like nonstop. So you're telling me 100 feet, 16,000 feet, it's a joke for them. 1,800 kilometers, how much is 1,800 kilometers? Over 1,000 miles. Shalom Aleichem! Look who's back. I was going to call you yesterday. Menachem Atez back. You were here the whole shiur? Sitting there, you can. Wow. Okay. Says the Gemara, no, they can fly very far. They tend to eat and go around the 50 amma around there, the shoivach, and therefore once they take off, that's it. They fly. They don't land. They don't need to refuel. They just go. But the problem is the 50 amma next to their. No, there's a better word. How do you say the chicken? No, pigeon. Dovko. Columbarian? Wow. How do you spell that? You know how to spell it?
The way it works is there's a metal alloy in their beak. The place where they're born, they're connected to the ground. So further away from that place where they're born, it hurts them. That's how they home back.
So what you're telling me is if I just chop off a little part of their beak, they'll never come back to my porch?
Correct.
You just need a beak tweezer. Mendy, I could save the whole problem. The problem is in the beak. They have a magnetic thing. There's a whole Torah how they do it. They feel the magnetic thing. They have GPS. They smell. They see. It's crazy. This little bird that weighs 1 pound could fly 1,800 kilometers, 1,500 miles, and not get lost. My wife, myself, I can't even get to the Makolet without the GPS. No, like down the block, I need a GPS. Says the Gemara, Rav Yosef Amar B'Yishuv Kramim. Oh, sorry. What they only fly this 30 ris, which equals 4 mil, Rabbi. 4 mil. When you live in a community, you can't put out your traps 100 mil, not 4 mil. 30 ris is only 4 mil. Says the Gemara, a few roots in Rav Yosef Amar B'Yishuv Kramim. Rabbi Amar B'Yishuv Shevachim. In other words, if there's different resting places, there's a vineyard here, another vineyard there, then it can go from one to the other. Rabbi says there's a bunch of these dovecotes, whatever they're called, every so often. It's okay, so they'll land one after another, and therefore they could go a lot further. If you don't have resting places and gas stations for these pigeons, no, they only go the 4 mil. But if it's true, like you're saying, Rabbi, that there's a shoivach every so often, then there would be a special isser not to put a net next to the shoivach, the 50 yam next to the shoivach. So the Gemara says, I found it fascinating that the art scroll here, mamish, turns colors and tries to say all sorts of pirushim here in English. How do you explain this? Because in the colleges they might read this. What you're allowed to take from first of all, I saw the Miri actually asked the question. It's Gezel Akam is also. Everybody agrees it's also. So what he's saying, the Miri says we're talking about idol worshippers on the worst category that they don't count or whatever. Okay. What does he say? Anybody have an article? I thought it was mamish. To me, it was hilarious. The really bad people, really bad person that you're not, Depraved. Depraved means depraved and lawless. Think about it. What are they doing there? Yeah. Okay, that means politically correct or whatever. Okay. So it could be that these dovecotes, he himself owns them. So Mela, he doesn't have to put, he's allowed to put, you're asking me, how can you put a net? There's a dovecote every so often. Yeah, they're his. He's allowed to put whatever he wants next to this thing. But you're asking me, how do they fly so far? Because they have these gas stations all over. Hadran lach meruba, Hadran lach meruba, Hadran lach meruba. Give you another 5 seconds to open up your new Gemara. Daf Pei Gimel Amud Beis, sponsored by Greg Haber for the success and return of our chaylim and hostages, zechus for Klal Yisroel. It's very, very painful to hear these. It's enough that, what is this? Who? Yoshi. Perek HaChovel. Yoshi's 2 brothers have a winery in Los Angeles. Yoshi got you this special bottle for Perek HaChovel. Yoshi's Weiss. You know him?
Yeah,
Gabriel Weiss, Black and Blue.
That's what it is.
Shiur Wine Productions proudly presents Black and Blue 2020 vintage, made in California, limited edition. I get it, Black and Blue, Chovel. I got it. I'm not that slow, Mendy. I'm trying to see. It's a little dark over here. It's a little black and blue. I got it. Here. Beautiful. You can't control, huh? You have a beak that you're anytime that we talk about any kind of that sugya, you home in and you got to say your stuff. You got to. And then he has to erase it. Shkoyach Yoshi. A person damages his friend. Chayiv olav mishum chamisha dvarim. He'd be chayiv in 5 things. So look what Yoshi did. Talking about Yoshi. First thing is, let's say you knock somebody's eye out. You're chayiv for his eye. You would praise him how much a person is worth on the slave market. There's no way to do this really, other than saying, okay, there's a slave market. how much would he fetch with an eye, without an eye? Oh boy, I got this glitter on me. Was there glitter on this? I just don't want it. It's mamish ruined the whole video. One of my pet peeves. Glitter all over the house. Anybody have a daughter? You don't know what I'm talking about. If you have a daughter, my daughter, hey look, Daddy, I made a project. It's full of glitter. I look at the carpet. It's glitter everywhere. Kids are... Glitter bombs, exactly. So here, Nezek, we said. Tsar, check this out. A glowing hot rod to his hand. So how much would a person pay not to do this or to do it? Ripoy, the doctor, you have to pay for the doctor. Sheves, how much is he worth? Right now he can't work. The lowest job he could get is to watch cucumbers. Boishes and the nice red face, he would have to pay based on who the person that was mavayishim. If a lowly guy smacked him, he would pay more. If he's a chashav or a shashiva, the president of the United States gets smacked, it's even, the bush is much, much greater. I always say, here's a cartoon. Once in a while we get these good ones. He says, look what he did to me. You see the guy all banged up, this, and he says, you know what he did to me? Like he's black, he's mamish black and blue his face, broken arm, and he started. Okay, fine. Zok the Gemara, Benezek, Bitzar, Beribim Shevs and Boishes, we just said those 5. Benezek Ketzad, how's it work? Sima say no, he blinded his eye. Kita siyadta, chopped off his hand. I had a problem here. There's no market for slaves today. So how do we do this? It's gone, it's over. So one of the things it came to me, I realized that my shver, he used to, or still does, because he's a surgeon, he insures his hand. So I called him up yesterday, and this other guy picked up the phone, of course. Fine, call me back, fine. Dad, how much do you insure your hand for? Couldn't believe it. He insures his hand for $20 million. $20 million. Sand. So I'm not saying that's what... So then he knows the Mishnah because he's a Magachir, whatever. He said, but it doesn't work like that today. And the Mishnah is saying something else. But I said, but there's no slave market. So he said,
it's not here. There's a huge slave market.
Okay, but you can't really. So okay. Anyway, I don't think we go to this market. So he said he claims that in the United States, at least, the way they do it is if somebody loses their arm, so the lawyers, they would go after the insurance company. They'll basically say, how much does this person earn a year? So let's say he earns $1 million a year. And they say, okay, he has another 30 years to work at this thing and to live. That you could estimate he's a 40-year-old, he's going to work until he's 70. It's another 30 years. They give him $1 million times 30. That's how it works. So he said, huh? Right. Are you saying it's not? We're holding now a nezek. Nezek. I hear, yeah. Correct. So let's move on then. Right, huh? The difference between it's both. There's sheves and nezek. They're intertwined a little bit. You take off what he's worth, and then you give him the sheves part. So says the Gemara, Kita siyadta, shiber ragli, broke his foot. He's a football player, a soccer player. We see that he's a slave in the market. How much he was worth before today. Tsar, they did like a branding here. This is what they do to animals. They brand them with, not always, but really I don't know where these groups are. They let this happen burn it into the flesh of an animal. Okay, but if you did this to a human being, you did an MDY, let's say, on a guy's arm, you put a nail into a guy, where you can't really tell. It doesn't really leave a mark, but it's in his nail. But it's very, very painful. Ask a teenager, how much money would you want for me to put a hot iron on your hand or a nail through your nail? A screw through your nail. Stam, what does the Olam think? this tsar that a person has, tremendous pain, do we also go by not only the tsar that he has on the spot, that's very painful, do we also go based on the tsar that he's going to have for the next few weeks? He has to be on heavy pain relief, and how do we evaluate it? Do we base it on the tsar right now, or also taking into account the future tsar he's going to have? What do you, Talmid Chacham, have to say about this? Now? Nobody wants to join. It's either this or that. Huh? Now? So it's actually Machlekes Rishonim. The Rosh brings Machlekes Rishonim. Seems to paskin with the now. The Torah Beis Yosef get involved in it, but okay, I thought it was interesting. In the tsar, why not the tsar from tomorrow? He caused that tsar tomorrow. So he says it's more of a grumma. Why not? The same assessment. How much money would you take for a 1 minute tsar? How much money would you take for a 3 month long tsar? There's a value to it. So wait. And after a year. Why? Sometimes it takes years to figure out how much you have to pay. Look right here. Look at this right now. It says here in the Mishnah, Ripui. How do you pay for doctor bill? You have to go bring to the doctor. What if afterwards he had some sores? If the sores came because of the mako, and so later on the sore came. You don't have to do it the second. If it's not from the wound, then you potter. It healed, it came back, it healed. You have to keep on paying for it. If it healed 100%, I would think that maybe it did come from it or whatever. The chiddush is sheves. Unemployment. Ooh, we have a Givaldic picture. There's a guy that's watching cucumbers. He's missing his arm, but he's able to watch. You already paid for the hand that you did by nezek. With meiragla, you paid for the. So you have to pay. The least the job that a person can do, which is the least paying job, is kishuim. If you're a Sephardi and get smacked by Rebbe Ovadia Yosef, it was a big zechus. You get 0. Smacked by the garbage man, you get paid big money. You pay to get smacked by him. Yeah. Now, Adam Chosh, if somebody smacks Rebbe Ovadia Yosef, let's say, that the bush is tremendous, so you have to pay that much more. Amai. As the Gemara, why do you have to pay for these 5 things? Just take out his eye. Oh, I want to show you this, not because if you don't like these things, I apologize. But somebody sent me this morning, Shamsei Cohen said this to me. This is what a non-Jew thinks the Torah says. Here, do you have volume? Yeah. Here, put on the volume. It's not on. Okay. So basically, this is a video the Chizbal just came out with. And he's speaking, he sounds like, and he says, ayin tachas ayin, shen tachas shen. He says, the whole chabura tachas, he says, it doesn't even sound so Arabic. And their way of understanding the pasuk is, that's literally eye for an eye. So how do we know not? And that's the thing, that we have to understand. How do you darshan these psukim? Why did Moshe Rabbeinu say that it's not an eye for an eye? So Gemara says, maybe it's better that there was no sound. I would think that if a person knocks out his friend's eye, you should knock out his eye. You should chop off his hand like in Saudi Arabia. Chop. Shibis raglo, mishavis raglo. You break his foot if you broke his friend's foot. No, we have a pasuk. Make odom make behema. We do like Xer Shava or Hekesh. Just like when a person harms an animal, you pay. You don't kill the person, you don't take off his arm. So too, when you harm a person, you pay. It's not an eye for an eye, literally. Every time we say this, I have to bring in the Vilna Gaon because I'm a Gronik. The Vilna Gaon says, ayin, tachas ayin, is you go below the letter below. Ayin, tachas ayin. How do you pay? Not an eye for an eye, but you go the letter below. The letter right after an ayin is a pay. The letter right after yud is chav. The letter right after nun is samach. It spells kesef. Shepay. The Torah is telling us ayin tachas ayin. It's an interesting lashon. Oh, so we have a hekesh makadam makabehema. And I have another pshat. Usually, not every time the Gemara says I have another pshat, the Gemara always asks, why do you need another pshat? And the Gemara is going to do that soon. In China, if a person kills somebody, there's a way out of it. You don't have to die. You don't have to go to jail. You pay the family a nice amount. They can let you out, depending on who you know and how. But it's doable. There's something by the Arabs called sulcha. You kill somebody. It's not necessarily you have to go to jail. You can pay off sulcha. So I would think that you could pay if a person kills somebody. Says the Torah le'sikhu koifer. You can't take him cash. He deserves to die. So we could be medayik. For the death of a human being, you can't take money. But if somebody chopped off one of the 24 ivarim, a digit, a finger, whatever, they don't come back. That you could pay. Only for killing you can't pay, but for damage to a limb you could pay. So the Gemara says, okay, but the first drasha that we said, Maka Adam, Maka Behema. So for this we need to see these psukim. It's important to see these psukim. There's not that many of them. If a person does what he harms his friend, he should die. So what is that referring to? Obviously, if he killed somebody. So pasuk Yizayim is talking about killing. This is the pasuk that we're talking about. Not right now, but we're going to get there. Pasuk Yudches is talking about a makib behema, and then pasuk Yudches says a human being harms another person. So then these are the famous psukim shevet achashever, ayin tachasayin. That's pasuk chav, and then pasuk chav says umakib behemi shalmeno umaka adam yuma. So the Gemara now understands that's where we're learning the hekesh because it's in the same pasuk. Makib behema, maka adam. Perfect. The words line up. The big problem with this is that this is not talking about damage; it's talking about death. Umaka adam yumas. You have to kill a person if he damaged. You don't kill a person unless he killed another human being. So pasuk Chavalev is really out, even though it's perfect. It has this hekesh. It has a mak behema, mak adam in the same pasuk. Ask the Gemara, hey maka, which maka are you talking about? Ilema pasuk Chavalev, mak behemi shalmeno mak adam yumas. That's talking about a human being that kills another human being, and he doesn't pay. He pays with his life, not with money. Elamacha. Now we're going to go back to these psukim right over here, pasuk Yud Ches and pasuk Yud Tes. In the next pasuk Yud Tes, is and that's what we call a gzeira shava. Now gzeira shava, this is a poor gzeira shava because check this out. You're taking the word omaka and you're taking the word mum. If in pasuk Yud Tes would say the word maka, it would be perfect. I'm going to learn a human being from a behema. Just like a behema you pay, so too if you damage a human being. The problem is the words are very different. One says maka, one says mum. What do you do? Haylav maku. It doesn't say the word maka. Says Gemara, we're talking about the idea. The idea in pasuk Yud Ches is to cause damage. The idea in pasuk Yud Tes, throughout Shas, we have the concept v'shava kohen uba kohen. You do gzer shava even though the words are not the same. It means the same thing. Shav and ba means the kohen shall come back to the house to check the neged tzaras in the wall. So even though it's not the same, it's the same idea. Says the Gemara, he shall die. So maybe when a person, the Gemara asks, maybe when a person destroys his friend's hand, you should cause him death. What does death mean in this case? Not death of his entire body, but rather death to that limb. Chop off his arm. Mois yumas. Says Gemara, no, b'mamin. No, it's referring to money. But who told you? Again, what I'm trying to say here is, if you want to be an Amoritz and take these psukim literally, then you could come up with a video like those Rishayim Arurim. But you have to understand what the pasuk is saying. It's not literally. How do we know? Because we're doing all these things. It doesn't mean this. It means that. We have Gzer Shava, the whole thing. Now, first of all, we have a hekesh. Gzer Shava, hekesh. Look at pasuk Yutes. Pasuk Yutes v'ishkitin mum comes right after Umakin Nevesh Behem. I'm sorry, pasuk Yud Zayin. Pasuk Yud Zayin. Look at here. First it says v'ishki yakik kol Nevesh Adam Mois Yumas. We're talking about pasuk Yutes. Pasuk Yud Zayin says if you kill another human being, get the capital punishment. Kashiyitim bum ba'adam ken yinasim bay. V'ksib asrei kashiyitim bum ba'adam ken yinasim bay. Pasuk Yutes comes after Pasuk Yud Zayin. So Meilo Shema Mino Mamain. Pasuk Yud Zayin is death, but Pasuk Yutes is talking about Mamain. Umayim Nafshach Eloyman. So, but why do we need two sources? One source is enough. This Makkah, this Gzerah Shav is enough. Why do I need another pasuk? So Gemara Sukashi Latana, because we had a problem. When you make a Gzerah Shava, you go from pasuk Yud Ches to pasuk Yud Tes and say whatever we have in pasuk Yud Ches, you should do in pasuk Yud Tes. Maybe reverse. But whatever you have in pasuk Yud Tes, you should do in pasuk Yud Ches. I don't know. Maybe if my animal breaks somebody's foot, so I break the owner's foot. Amri done nizakim in nizakim. It makes more sense to learn a human being from a behemoth. Nizakim in nizakim. Vein done nizakim in misa. Don't learn from death. Learn from a different hazard. It's better to learn a human being from a human being. And just like you kill the human being when he kills another human, so if a human being chops off another human being's arm, you should kill his arm. You learn a human from a human, not a human from a behemoth. Says Gemara, oh, that's a good kasha. And for that, if you want to go that far, I didn't have another source. Here's the full pasuk. The words are extra. You can just read the blue and you'll be fine. Don't take money. From a Rasha who deserves to die, he's going to die. Don't take money from him. This lenefesh ritzeach is extra. And it's to teach us that only for death you don't take money. The Ram seems to be learning that the Torah is saying there's a kofer. When you chop off a person's arm, you should be liable. They should chop off your own arm. But instead the Torah had Rahmanas and you said you'll pay kofer instead of your arm, you're going to pay this money. What? The asa? You telling me that this pasuk is telling me that if you chop somebody's arm off, they don't chop your arm from this pasuk? This I need for something else. The famous halacha. Don't give a person two punishments. What is this called, Rabbi side? Don't give him Kom Levi the Rabbi. So Kim Levi the Rabbi. Kom Levi the Rabbi. Machlokes the this and this. Okay. Hi, but if you remember the sugya, we learned it from Mechdei Rishasi, not from Lenefesh Ritzeach. If a person's chayv two penalties, you give him the harsher one, the death penalty, and not the moment. So the Gemara, but nevertheless, I still need this pasuk to come Rachmana, the tishkol moment b'tifterei. I'll think instead of killing him, he can pay his way out. So the Gemara can lift the Rachmana l'tichu kover l'asher rosh alamos l'never yitzech lama li'ishma min l'never yitzech at l'loikeach kover after l'loikeach kover l'rosh yivam shem chayzrim. Again, we need the pasuk to teach us this halach of our sugya that you don't chop off a person's arm; he pays instead. As the Gemara, you did a great job explaining it from this pasuk. So then the original, remember all those psukim, pasuk Yizay, Yudches and Yutes is a Gzerah Shava. Why do I need these psukim right over here when I have this pasuk right over here? Why do I need both? Amri. If a person has a choice, if he can afford it, he'll pay for it. If he can't afford it, okay, take my eye out. I learned from him. Not true. I could only go one route. There's only one choice. I think we should do this. Yeah? 2 minutes, because look at tomorrow's Amud over there. It's very, very simple. Rabbi Desai says eye for an eye doesn't mean literally, it means you pay cash. May take off the eye. What if somebody's eye is large and when it's small? I saw in Achronim that it doesn't really mean large and small, it means it could see far, it's a good eye. This guy has a cataract, he's suffering from his eyesight, he could barely see, and this guy's a young guy, he's a 2020, he's a pilot. So how do I, it's not instead. One is not instead of the other. In that case, you should pay for it because there's no way to take an eye for an eye. It's not true. There's only one law for everybody. Amri my kushya. So the Gemara says, no, you read it wrong. You took his eyesight. I don't care the size and how far. You took his eyesight. So you take your eyesight. Because if you don't say that that's the pshat, the pedal Amud Aleph, Katan Shar is a gadol. The gadol Shar is a katan. A guy that weighs a lot. He's stronger. Whatever it is. How do you kill the smaller guy or the larger guy? You have to have one. It has to be even. Ella. The pshat is neshama shakol minei, neshama rachman nishkol minei. You took a soul. Forget how much kilo he weighs. You took a soul. You take your soul. Chanami noher shakol minei, noher rachman nishkol minei. Took his eyesight. Take his eyesight. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful shir lamalois. Soy na elori ma'yu boy Yisrael.